So about a month ago, Netflix released their adaptation of the iconic Capcom hack and slash game, Devil May Cry. And honestly, I liked it.
I liked it! Hell, I loved it!
Others didn't, and that's fine. Good or bad, the one thing this anime did was make Devil May Cry relevant again, and it brought new fans to the series. And for an old fan, well, I guess recently old fan like me, it made me want to replay Devil May Cry 3 again. And then I replayed them all, and I remembered how much they just fucking rock.
I can already tell. Looks like this is gonna be one hell of a party!
Devil May Cry. So even though I started with 3, I want to go in order of release. It's easier to script and easier to follow. Picture this, Capcom just came off the hit of Resident Evil 3. The Resident Evil franchise is doing really well. And now, with the PS2 coming in, you can do a lot crazier stuff with the horsepower and the graphical capability. But this man, Hideki Kamiya, was in charge and wanted to do a little bit more action than scary stuff. They started working on the game, made concept art, etc. But Capcom came in and freaked out and was like, What the hell is this? This was too far for a Resident Evil. But it looked so cool, they said, fuck it, and kept it around. And so, that's how we got Devil May Cry for the PlayStation 2.
Let's rock, baby.
Devil May Cry is a fun game that doesn't really show its age besides its sound mixing, general voice acting quality.
You have the face, but you'll never have her fire!
And kinda hard, especially back in the day. For your Dark Souls and Bloodborns, apparently people thought this game was the hardest game of all time, and honestly, I can't blame them. This was the first game in the genre that not a lot of people played back then, mainly because these type of games weren't made back then. And the game was just already hard to begin with. It's like giving a person with no driving experience a transfer truck. They also just made this game really punishing. Unless you have these little yellow orbs right here with the weird face. If you die at any point in the level, you have this restart at the very beginning of the level. Yeah, it was the dark age of gaming. But what is this game even about? Devil May Cry 1 is about this dude named Dante, who is the son of this badass demon named Sparta, and he gets hired by this girl named Trish to go to this island that has this other demon named Mundus, who is trying to open a portal to hell and take over the world. It's pretty simple, and for the most part, nothing big happens or changes the status really. Nobody's really playing this game for the story. What we're here for is the gameplay. And how is it? Well, it's pretty great. Dante only gets 4 weapons in this game, and 3 of them are just swords, with the same animations for the most part, but you do get this fire glove that kicks ass. Besides swords, you can also get guns that vary in range and power. Dante's iconic pistols, Ebony and Ivory, don't really do that much damage, but they're not really meant to do much damage. They're meant to keep your combos up. The shotgun is the best weapon in the game. Get off my lawn, demon scum. You get a grenade launcher and whatever this is. Only really use a shotgun and the pistols. They're very great in mid-air combat and just very quick to whip out and just to put away. This game also has a combo system. See, you do all the combos with one button, but depending on how many times you press the button, or if you pause in between pressing the buttons, a whole new set of combos will come out of these button presses. It's pretty neat and honestly adds a lot of flavor to the game without you having to memorize a bunch of different combos. What the fuck? You also get this thing called a Devil Trigger. It's a transformation that makes you hit hard and heals a little bit. Once these little orbs underneath your health all light up, you can use it and you can do a lot of damage. And you can upgrade them along with your health. One thing you might notice about this game is just how dark and cramped it is. Well, like I said, this was meant to be a Resident Evil game at first, so the design philosophy of small rooms, long hallways, and low to no lights is packed into the game's DNA. An extra carryover is the puzzles and backtracking. The puzzles in this game mostly add up to hitting something multiple times or platforming, but most of the time you'll need specific items and to place them in a very specific area to open very specific doors. The last thing that really carries over from Resident Evil is the camera. Oh, the fucking camera. The camera's not the best in this game. I don't think they really understood. In some of these rooms with tons of enemies and fighting, you can easily get disoriented and lost. Even worse, the controls can really mess you up. Holding forward, well, now you're going backwards, because they placed the camera in the opposite angle than before. These will be here to stay for 2 more games. First time I played this game, I remember dying so many times and struggling on about every single boss, but maybe it's because I played 3 beforehand, or I got better at the game, or maybe just expected stuff to be harder than I remember, but this game honestly wasn't that hard on my second go around. Maybe I just hit some type of flow state. None of the bosses that I really was afraid of were really that hard besides probably the last 2. The final boss is really weird because you randomly get taken to the shooting on a rail section and you just randomly shoot a dragon out of your dick to do big damage. Another thing that's really weird is there are 2 water focus levels in this game. For some reason, you are taken to a first-person view with inverted controls and you get a harpoon gun that can only be used underwater to shoot enemies. It's not great, and thank God they seen the errors of their way and this shit never returns. Oh yeah, the fucking platforming in this game is awful. Overall, I think Devil May Cry 1 is pretty great, besides the early 2000s cheese.
The sky, so clear, so blue.
The sky is fair. It'll always be above everyone's head, no different.
Some of the so-so voice acting, I think it's a very fun first entry, if a little rough. Well, I think it's time we move on, so let's see what's up next. Oh God.
Devil May Cry 2.
Devil May Cry 2 came out 2 years later and left fans very disappointed. You might be asking, disappointed in what? Well, in quite frankly everything. Apparently this game was greenlit before the first game even released and was handed over to an arcade division of Capcom. So the team had little to absolutely no direction on what made people love and dislike the first game. And they were arcade division. They didn't have any experience making a full-fledged console game. Apparently the Devil May Cry 1 devs and the creators didn't even know the sequel was even happening. This is a very smart move by Capcom. Let's just, man, just genius idea, Einstein level thinking here. This game apparently had 2 directors. The first one is unknown even to this day. Bro must have really got the fuck out of there before he was burnt at the stake, huh? And the second director was how the fuck do I say this nigga's name? Hold up. Translate, Hideaki Itsuno. Capcom gave this team a lot of freedom, and that freedom is honestly to its detriment, mainly with the level design. They made these big ass levels and put nothing in it. It's just a big nothing burger with not shit going on and long ass hallways. Look at these stairs. Look at it. We don't look at it the whole time. You're not leaving. Why is it so goddamn long? They just made these levels big because they were on PS2 and probably just said go big or go home. And the combat, my god. See, the combat in this game isn't bad. It's actually very snappy and fluid, but it's when you start to use the guns. Yeah, you see a problem here, right? 98% of the enemies can be dealt with just guns and guns alone. And if you use double trigger, oh boy, you just fucking melt these health bars. Guns in the first game were meant to be used to extend combos and do chip damage. You can never really kill a boss with only guns besides this big bird boy over here. In this game though, guns solve all. Nobody's immune to good old ammunition. Why did they do this? Well, apparently the first director wanted to have more focus on the gun gameplay. So they made the gun stronger, gave Dante more unique animations. But this game was also just made easier because the first game was so hard. The first game was so hard for people that Capcom apparently did a survey asking Japanese fans how they felt about Devil May Cry. And people said, yo, I'm not even gonna cap, that shit was hard.
To fucking play.
And Capcom took this into effect with the next game, making it easier. And at the time for the American audience, this wasn't good at all. The American audience loved the difficulty of the first game. It felt rewarding to get past hard bosses and enemy sections. Japanese fans probably did feel like that too, but the people they surveyed just said it was really hard, so they made Devil May Cry easy. In my playthrough, I only died twice, and it was to the final boss. Mainly because it's just so long. It's like a battle of attrition with just shooting guns. Needless to say, people hate this. Even Japanese fans wanted an ounce of difficulty. Besides the difficulties and guns, how is Devil May Cry 2? Well, it's honestly an alright game. I would go over the story, but I'm gonna be real, I barely know what happened. Basically, Dante is teaming up with this girl named Lucia to go take down this chucklefuck because he wants to rule the world with demon stuff. You really see a pattern with this series, huh? Speaking of Dante, he's back and he's not the same. In DMC 1, he never really shut up when coming across bosses.
Fuck off, Featherface, or you can stick around and find out the hard way.
He was a goofball that was a badass, but this Dante is always badass with no goofs.
You must repent your sins. Don't speak, just die.
He's so quiet in this game. He'll go whole scenes without even saying a word. Dante is like video game Deadpool, but this game is like the X-Men Origins Deadpool. Apparently this team didn't like Dante's personality at all from the first game, and they hated the goofiness. So they changed him. They took it, bro. They took his funny away. I do like this design though. It's very nice and simple, but a very solid upgrade from his Devil May Cry 1 outfit. Speaking of upgrades, we love upgrades for our characters and giving them boosts to their arsenals and power. In the first game, you had to buy whole new moves and mobility options. Stuff like flying, double jump, stab moves, etc. Well, in Devil May Cry 2, they give you every ability from the first game, and the only thing you can upgrade is the level of the weapon. I honestly don't know what this does. I think it just gives it more attack power. There's no level of progression in this game with Dante's mechanics. It's just very lame. Lame is another way I describe the enemies and bosses in this game. Besides being very weak to a gun, the designs are very boring. The most iconic enemy in this game is Infected Chopper. Yep, that's it. A chopper with goo on it. How do you beat him? Do you need to ask? You get Stone Monster, Bird, infected tanks that you fight once, a building. Hey. Wake up, are you? Hey, you listening? The bosses and level design in this game are very boring. Only 2 sections maybe came anywhere close to feeling like Devil May Cry. This shit just looks like Metal Gear. The team didn't know what fans would like from Devil May Cry 1. And even they didn't like stuff about Devil May Cry either. So they changed stuff that they didn't like that fans grew to love. Apparently Capcom seen this game, seen how shit it was, and kicked the first director out and hired Itsuno to fix it.
Fix the game! It sucks! Blame the shit!
I can only imagine how bad this game was before Itsuno stepped in, because if the game is like this with Itsuno's help, then what the hell were they doing with the first few months? But even with this, Itsuno did stick with Devil May Cry, and is still the director of the games to this day. Imagine the game back then. There's a second part of this game with Lucia that I heard is better than Dante's campaign, but I just don't have it in me to play it. Thank God this game is just short. The game's bad mainly in a boring way. It's playable and functional, but nothing about this game is memorable. It's all sauceless. It's just bland. It's like getting a burger with no ketchup and pickles. It's a burger alright, I guess. If you really want a deeper history of what happened to this game, then I would recommend watching this video by Matt McMuscle. So after a reskinned Resident Evil 4 and a game with no direction, I would say this is where Devil May Cry becomes its own thing.
No doubt you've got some fun planned for me, right, Virgil? Let's rock. Stepping forth the cure for our soul's demise. Reap the tears of the victim's cries. Nothing comes as far as the Arkansas. The Arkansas. The Arkansas. Jackpot.
This is where Devil May Cry really carves its name into the best video game series of all time, and when the series becomes its own. The action, the style, the dialogue, even the presentation is just so much better than the first two. It's almost insane seeing this game came out on the same console. Devil May Cry 3 was led by Itsuno. Even though Devil May Cry 2 wasn't reviewed well, it made enough money to greenlight a third game, and bro wanted to cook experience like no other, and I think he did. This time we move into the past with Dante in his younger years. Look at him, so young and shirtless and hot. The story of this game is that Dante's brother Virgil and this dude named Arkham want to open a portal to the underworld. How original. Also ladies here, and God damn! Dante and you, the player, have to travel this tower and stop Hell's asshole from gaping open. Story is simple, but its presentations and twists are very fun. Honestly, I'd say to this day it's the best story in Devil May Cry. It's honestly pretty underrated from an actual storytelling perspective. Most people just think this game is just hype and aura, but honestly it has some pretty good writing, especially in the last half. Fun fact, after Capcom heard that fans weren't fans of the shooting snooze-a-thon, they decided to do something really funny. In Japan, the settings for easy, normal, and hard were as they say, but in the American release, the normal was hard and easy was normal. This game for a solid year was hailed as the hardest game ever when it came out. It was so hard that the next year they released a new version of the game with new content and the difficulty like the Japanese version to American fans. DMC 3 isn't as hard as DMC 1, but it has moments and bosses that will definitely challenge you.
It's my ass, bitch! I'm immortal!
Besides these two, I died at least twice to every boss in the game in my second playthrough. Guns don't rule the world anymore. Poor America.
Trump, if you can hear us, please, Donald Trump.
This game introduces the style system and weapon swapping. Oops, I forgot to mention you can swap guns in Devil May Cry 2, but let's just not talk about the game anymore. The style system is 4 different styles of mechanics Dante can pull off by pressing the circle button. You can set which style you want to use at the beginning of a mission, or if you run to these angel statues. Trickster gives you a lot more mobility, like dashes, wall running, and air dashes. You can use it to rush in and get some attacks, or use it to dodge. Swordsmaster gives every weapon an extra move, like Dante's Sword Rebellion being able to pull off air combos. Gunslinger lets you go crazy with guns. This is just purely for showing off and style points. This style actually takes a lot of the sauce and animations from DMC 2, so DMC 2 actually provides some to the franchise, with cool gun animations. Royal Guard. This is the ultimate guarding style. You can block and parry almost every attack, and every attack you block or parry builds up these little orbs right here, which if all of them are filled, you can use for a giant attack. Royal Guard's the hardest one to learn, but once you do learn how to use it, it's very broken. Hey, remember how I said there are only 4 styles? Quicksilver lets you pause time for a short amount of time. It does absorb your double trigger meter, so you gotta keep an eye on that. Doppelganger lets you spawn in another Dante and do double the damage. This one also takes your meter. Out of all these, I only really use Trickster and Swordmaster. Easy to use and fits my playstyle. Royal Guard is widely considered to be the best style, but is the hardest to learn. Also, I've been playing Devil May Cry 3's DMD mode, and Quicksilver, pretty underrated, I'm not gonna lie. Weapon swapping is just what it sounds like. Just like style, at the start of every mission, or if you're into these angel statues, you can choose 2 guns and 2 weapons to use in the mission. You can use the bumper buttons to change the items at any time. Speaking of weapons, they really bumped it up this time. First, you start off with Rebellion. Rebellion is a simple sword that uses all the same combos and purchasable mechanics from the previous game. This one I keep the whole game. Cerberus, a 3-pronged nunchuck with ice properties and abilities. Agni and Rudra. Agni and Rudra are 2 swords with different elements, one being fire and the other being wind. This one is my second favorite and the one I use most, right after Rebellion. Nevin, an electric guitar that lets you shoot and control electric bats. This one I didn't use at all in my first playthrough, and in my second playthrough, I used it a bit more and I kinda like it. It is a very weird weapon, but also very useful when you actually learn it. Beowulf. Last is Beowulf. A set of gauntlets and boosts that let you go fucking wild with hand-to-hand combat. This is really good if you know timing and build up for every move. You can just simply rip through an enemy's health bar with 1 or 2 good combos. As for guns, you get your twin pistols, Ebony and Ivory, a shotgun, this thing called Artemis that lets you charge up laser beams, Spiral, which is a rifle, and Kalina Ann, a rocket launcher. Nintendo really wanted to step everything up, and he added so many new and beloved things to the series just with this game that become iconic and kept in the franchise, including characters like Lady and Virgil, with Virgil easily being one of the coolest characters in fiction, and Capcom seems to know that. This game is what made Devil May Cry as an iconic franchise as it is. And honestly, without the blunder that was 2, I don't know if this game would have even been made. At least the way we know it. The only thing I can really criticize about this game is Nevin, the second to last boss, and some of the early missions just having confusing layouts. Nevin's bat shield along with her easy to dodge moves just make her fight boring and tedious. The second to last boss is more just a snooze. The only thing that really makes it cool is the second half and the following cutscenes. Some of the missions and areas can be confusing to traverse due to poor or just straight up cryptic clues. Overall, 3 was a huge step for the franchise. Place Itsuno as the main director of the series from now on. This game ended up doing really well, but the team didn't know what to do. They felt like they perfected Dante's gameplay. These games are more focused on gameplay, with the story more so being in the background. So what's next? Well, you have a secret love child.
What?
Devil May Cry 4 is an interesting game to me. It's a game that not only has to follow Devil May Cry 3, and it also has to come to Xbox for a new audience for the first time, but also, the team was stuck. Dante's story was over, and his gameplay was refined. But what if they weren't just stuck with Dante? What if they can make a new character? And that new character is my boy, my GOAT.
What's the point of packing a sword like that if you aren't even gonna use it?
Nero. New playable characters are a new thing to the series. Devil May Cry 2 had Lucia and Trish, and Devil May Cry 3 had Virgil in the re-release. But aside from Lucia getting a whole disc and a story to herself, the series never put Dante on the back foot. This game really focuses on Nero more than Dante. Nero is a mostly normal guy, but he has a demonic right arm called the Devil Buster, and knows how to kick demon ass. Who is he? Why is his hair white like Dante and Virgil? Who are his parents? Why does he have one demon arm? That's a lot of good questions, and we'll only get one of those questions sort of answered in this game. He is a descendant of Sparta. The story of this game is that this church of people who praise and worship Sparta are a cult that want to bring Sparta back to the human world. It's led by this old dude, though as for his name, I don't know. He got the best lackey in the series.
As for the new ones concerning your demise.
Don't you think that's a little harsh? Killing me because of the way I talk?
Why you try not to lie, but
Dante kills this old man in the opening cutscene, and Nero goes in after him. Then he finds out the church maybe not be the best. They kidnap his crush Kyrie, and now he has to stop the church and save Kyrie. This was the first and only Devil May Cry game on the Xbox and PS3, and you can see how they took advantage of the upgrade. This game is honestly still very pretty. The characters' models are very nice too. They definitely lean more to the anime look than the realistic look, and I think it's a pretty interesting look. If the series went and tried to use more anime visuals, I wouldn't complain. Other than this game visually holding up, how is Nero's gameplay? Nero's gameplay is my favorite in the series on both this game and 5. He has enough moves not to make you miss Dante's moveset, but also has enough new moves to make him very distinct. Nero doesn't have the style switching or even weapon swapping. He gets one sword and one gun the whole game, and his style is just a grab. Bro can grab you and do the most WWE shit I ever seen. It's so fun to see what disrespectful things Nero will do to these poor demons. No matter what, it feels so impactful, especially against bosses, doing great damage to them with very cinematic looking cutscenes.
And here comes number 13, Mr. All coming from the 3-point line right now. Oh shit, that nigga's in there. It's sucking out his neck. He gon' beat that fucking. He gon' kick your toe. 1, 2, 3, and 4. You hit out.
His arm can also yank enemies towards him on ground or in the air. Or if you're fighting heavier enemies or bosses, you'll just fly towards them, like you're Spider-Man. This mechanic is what makes Nero my favorite character to play as in the series. I just love sending enemies flying away, grabbing them, and then RKOing them back to hell. His sword also has an interesting mechanic with the exceed gauge. Nero can rev up his sword like a motorcycle. If you do it enough times, you'll light it up with these 3 things in the corner and do more damage with each hit. Max Axe will max out your meter if you press the rev right after a normal attack. It's not the easiest to pull off, but when you do, it feels great. The sound effect also makes it super satisfying. Oh, just play it 3 more times. No, play it 4 more times. I really like Nero, not only to play, but just as a character. Maybe I'm just biased because he's deadass just Ichigo, and also voiced by Johnny Young Bosch.
What's wrong?
I'm out of here.
Nero just feels so human compared to everyone else in the series. Only other character I can really compare to is Lady, but she's human. Nero's part demon, and out of every other part demon or full demon character, Nero just stands out as a dude. I just feel like I can have a conversation with the guy, take him to a bar, and not have to worry about getting into a crazy bar fight. Sadly, his girlfriend Kyrie is the first female character in the series that really feels the most bland. She's just a damsel in distress, and so far, Devil May Cry's never done that. Every girl thus far in the series has been cool and able to hold their own, but not Kyrie.
I dress to impress.
So Dante's in this game and he plays just like how he does in 3. Style switching, weapon swapping, but now you can do them all on the fly in the middle of gameplay. All of your weapons and styles can be switched at any time by just pressing the buttons on the back of your controller. If you played the Nintendo Switch version of Devil May Cry 3, you'd know that this was implemented in this version of the game. I have no idea why it's only a Switch exclusive for you to do style and weapon switching, but that's just how it is. So the best version of Devil May Cry 3 to play is just on the Switch. I really wish that Capcom would give an update to everybody with this. Dante gets his 4 styles back: Trickster, Swordsmaster, Gunslinger, and Royal Guard. He also gets this one called Dark Slayer style. That's just him with Virgil's sword, Yamato. You can tell he wanted to do this for years. As for the weapons you get, Rebellion. Dante's Sword Rebellion has all the bells and whistles of all the other swords from the previous games. Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is just Beowulf but with less aura. I do like the face mask though. Lucifer. Lucifer is the ultimate pin pusher. After every attack, you just send out these swords that you can detonate at any time. The weapons are very lackluster in this game. Lucifer I've seen in some pro gameplay, but in casual play, it feels like it does nothing, and the other weapons are just more enjoyable to use. As for guns, you get your twin pistols, a shotgun, and Pandora. Pandora is like if you found Deadpool's magic satchel, and you can ride it with Gunslinger. Dante is really broken in Devil May Cry 4, and the quality of life changes to his gameplay is great, but his kid is very underwhelming. So why is he broken, you may ask? Oh man. Yeah, the second half of this game just isn't finished. Devil May Cry 4 had a tight production schedule, and you can feel it. The first 13 missions of this game feel so well crafted, thought out, and built around Nero. All the enemies are built around Nero and his devil arm. But when it comes to the second half with Dante, it's a mess. Dante gets no original levels, he just runs backwards through the whole game, with just random annoying gimmicks thrown in. This area now has weird mist. Don't get eaten by this thing because you'll get taken to Diddy's dungeon. This area now has poison. It's all just to make the levels feel interesting and new, but they aren't. And it doesn't work. None of the enemies or bosses in Dante's sections are made for him either. This is all reusing Nero focused enemies. 3 bosses he previously fought just up for a round 2 with Dante. And yeah, they weren't changed or tweaked at all for Dante, so Dante just steamrolls them. I do like how you can clearly tell Dante doesn't struggle as much as these bosses as much as Nero does. And actually is the one to kill him, unlike Nero who just lets him go every time. Another mark of rushed development in this game comes with the weapons. In Devil May Cry 3, whenever you beat a boss, they'll turn into a weapon for you to use that has to do something with the boss, including it being named after the boss. In Devil May Cry 4, they didn't do that. You kill this big fuck off toad and get Pandora. What does this have to do anything with the toad boss that uses demon girls to attract people to it like it's Grand Fisher? What does a weapon like Lucifer that spawns swords in the middle of nowhere and in enemies' bodies that can explode have to do with the boss named Burial that uses fire? It's just very clearly rushed. In the final 3 missions of the game, you can tell this game just fell apart. Dante's last boss just sucks all around and is easy. Nero has to do a boss rush with his dice. And the final boss is the previous boss, but easier because it's a smaller area. I don't hate Devil May Cry 4 at all, but it has its issues, and they are so apparent that you need to be blind not to see them. Dante is busted, but has no enemies or levels of his own, and it's so disappointing. Even the story just pauses for Dante. They couldn't even be bothered to write anything for him to do, which I get. He's turned into a mentor now, but I gotta play half the game with him. Just give him something original. Give him something. Unfortunately, this game didn't sell well. Well, it did sell well, but not enough for Capcom. This was the first Devil May Cry game to come to Xbox and PC, along with being a nice entry point for new fans. But yet the game didn't sell more than the 3rd game, and so they thought it must be a flop and maybe the series is dead. They thought people weren't fans of these characters anymore and the fun. They needed something more dark and edgy and more political. Look, I'm gonna be honest. I never played this game. I watched this video, got the gist of it. The game was just a reboot of Devil May Cry, something fans didn't want from Capcom, but Capcom was being very weird in the early 2010s. They weren't doing great and they tried to offload some of their franchise to American developers and appeal to more American fans. This oftentimes didn't succeed. This game doesn't seem to be bad, but just shouldn't be called Devil May Cry. If it was its own thing, I think it would have gotten way less hate and probably would have been loved. Also, it helped that the devs and character designers sort of made fun of the original games and its designs.
Not in a million years.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, that you'll never get that wig. Yeah, I can't say much, so I'm just gonna move on.
I'm 1,200 years old.
You don't look a day over 12,000.
Fuck you.
Fuck you!
Fuck you!
Not too long after the reboot, Capcom came back to 4 and made a special edition that adds new modes, Trish, Lady, and Virgil. Sadly, they didn't fix the second half of this game, nor the final few missions. Just like Devil May Cry 3, I've yet to touch Virgil outside of 5, so I can't speak on how he plays. He just is probably great.
Jesus Christ.
Lady and Trish are fine characters to play. They're a little limited. They are great additions, don't get me wrong, but a lot of their moveset feels bare bones compared to Dante and Nero's. It feels more like a test of the waters for a Lady and Trish focused game. Seriously, all these two need are just 5 or 8 more moves. This version of the game did really well and became the most played game in the series for a while. After the failure of the reboot and seeing the recent love for the original series, Capcom had to get their shit together. It took a long time for a new Devil May Cry game, but after some rumors and some voice actor slip-ups,
it really is a tight family.
No, I think it's great how it happened because now they're going to bring us back. You can say that, right?
No. Oh.
Well,
Okay. What? No chit chat or monologue? Just getting right to the point, huh?
after the confirmation of 5, all that was waiting was a few more months. The game came out, and how is Devil May Cry 5? I think this game fucking rocks. Devil May Cry 5 is just a pure celebration of the series. I can't even imagine how it would feel to play these games growing up, and then seeing 5 pay tribute and callback to all the lore. Even the original anime gets love.
Dante, do you have any idea how many times I've tried to call? Like a zillion! Oh my god, tonight's my birthday party! Yeah, I'm turning 18! Not a little kid!
And not Devil May Cry 2 though, it gets one sentence in a recap and that's it. It's probably for the best. In this game, a demon named Urizen is here and made a giant tree to eat a fruit that gives him powers. Oh shit, that's Turles. Dante is hired by a mysterious guy named V to take on this mission. Nero gets his demon arm stolen by Urizen and now needs to get it back. They need to beat Urizen so he doesn't take over the world by letting Hell's Denizens take over and cause chaos. I hope whenever we get Devil May Cry 6, they won't do this demon portal opening up plot again. Please, just let it go for one game. 5 games in a row is crazy work. The gameplay of this game is just perfection of what came in 4. Nero and Dante play the same, but with changes to their weapons. Dante once again gets new weapons, but for now, let's focus on Nero. Nero lost his demon arm before the game canonically starts. Just yoinked right off of him. So now with the help of Nico, he gets cool robot arms called Devil Breakers to replace his missing arm. The true cure to male loneliness is a cool arm. At the start of the mission, you can customize your arm layouts. They all do different stuff for the most part. I'm not going to go through all 13 because truthfully I only use 4 of them, so let's go over those. Overture. Overture lets you palm enemies in the face with a big electric hand. Gerbera. Gerbera sends a shockwave into enemies, or it can be used for an extra jump. Punchline. Punchline is a rocket punch that hits a bunch of targets and stuns weaker enemies. Buster Arm. Buster Arm is just like Nero's arm, so if you don't feel like fucking around with all these other arms, you can just stick to the Buster Arm. The others are fine, like time stopping, using a whip, drilling enemies. Oh my god, is that fucking Mega Man? They're placed the same way he does in 4, but I do think these arms add a lot of customization. These are breakable. If you get hit when using them, you'll lose an arm, and it'll swap to the next one you have loaded up in your inventory. You can also choose to manually blow up your arm if you're in a tight situation. Don't worry about running out of arms, because arms are all over the floor in this game. I don't know how all these arms are here, unless Nico just is throwing these arms everywhere. Damn bitch, had us up in the tree. Dante keeps his weapon and style switching. Thankfully now he's perfectly balanced thanks to this game actually being finished and the enemies were made for him to fight. In this game, Dante gets Devil Sword Dante. Devil Sword Dante gives Dante his iconic and basic sword moves, the standard gameplay, Balrog. This game's version of Devil May Cry 3's Beowulf and Devil May Cry 4's Gilgamesh. This weapon has the properties of fire, and the more you punch an enemy, the more it'll power up. And if you get fully ignited, you'll do way more damage. Cavalier. Cavalier is a fucking motorcycle. Dante uses 2 halves of a motorcycle and just slams it into people. This one is pretty slow, but if you hit a bunch of enemies, you saw through their health. You can also drive it a little. You can't tell me that this weapon isn't 100% a Devil May Cry 3 reference. King Cerberus. King Cerberus is his final weapon. This is the Giga Chad compared to the Devil May Cry 3's little bitch dog. Get cheesed, idiot. These nunchucks have the property of fire, ice, and lightning. Each move and combo lets you conjure the different elements and can even alter the weapon into a staff. It's just a cooler version of the Cerberus from Devil May Cry 3. As for guns, you get the iconic Ebony and Ivory, a shotgun, Kalina Ann, the rocket launcher, Kalina Ann 2, a better rocket launcher, and you can combine both Kalina Anns and make a double rocket launcher. And then finally, Dr. Faust. This hat gave us the best cutscene in gaming history. It's also a really weird weapon. You shoot your money at enemies, and if done well, you can even earn more money than you shot at them. I'm not good with this one, so I barely use it, but seeing high level play with this is pretty interesting. Also, I do like Dante with his cool Michael Jackson hat and his sick ass scarf. So that's it for characters. Oh wait, V. V is a new playable character to the series, and what that means a new gameplay style. V is a fragile man. He walks around with a cane. He's struggling. V is a summoner that summons 3 shadow enemies to fight for him, and then V runs up and does the final blow. V's whole gameplay is about hanging back and being a real-time summoner. Let me go through each of his shadows real quick. Griffin. Griffin allows you to shoot at enemies. You can charge up your attacks for a wide range and higher damage. Shadow. Oh shit. Shadow. Shadow is your main form of grounded and head-to-head combat. He is pretty useless against flying enemies though. Nightmare. Nightmare is the last summon. This huge monster comes out of nowhere and just goes crazy with big attacks and big damage. This summon only appears in Devil Trigger and goes away after it's finished. Sometimes it can hard carry a room while sometimes it gets whiffs attacks. Good job, man. Really getting them over there. Oh, you deserve a cookie. V is a very odd character for this genre, and being so different from Nero and Dante makes a lot of people not like his gameplay. But for me, I enjoy him, in a brain-dead way. I haven't taken the time to truly learn his timing and all his moves, because I rarely go back and play his levels. And honestly, I have no idea half the time what I'm doing. And all I know is the enemies are dying. He's definitely my least favorite character to play as, but I like him. Like I said, in a brain-dead, button-mashy way. In the special edition, they allow you to play as Virgil, who is absolutely broken. This is the first time in a series where I've played as a boss character and I actually feel like I'm playing a boss character. He is so fun to just mows down enemies. He just rips right through bosses. I had to delete my save file for probably to do a complete clean gameplay because Capcom is pretty dumb and doesn't let you have multiple save files. But I can say on my normal run with Virgil, I damn near had all S ranks. Not because I'm a skilled player, but because Virgil's just the GOAT. I enjoy both these games pretty much equally and have sunk many hours into them. Heck, currently while writing this section of the script, I'm on Devil May Cry 3 Dante Must Die mode, which makes me appreciate this game and its mechanics as equally as Devil May Cry 5's. I do enjoy the level structure and aesthetic of 3 more though. 5's later levels all just feel very bland to me, and I'm not a fan of the Quaifod tree's interior design. It's all just red and purple and twisted, and I just don't enjoy it as much as the tower's gothic design theme. and the areas are more distinct enough for me to tell where I am, and not get bored of it like I am with later levels in 5. I'm just not a big fan of these 3 levels. They just feel really unnecessary. Each of these levels has you play as the 3 different characters. V's isn't a boss rush, Nero's more or less just a short, easy level with a meh boss fight, and Dante's just falling, with a pretty good boss fight at the end. And the only boss fight I died multiple times during this game. DMC3's later levels I'm not a big fan of, but they are more or less necessary to the story. Mission 17 has you travel up the tower again and ends on a pretty easy boss fight. Mission 18 has this godforsaken chessboard section along with a boss fight room. And Mission 19 has the worst boss in Devil May Cry 3 and honestly in Devil May Cry history. But these levels in Devil May Cry 3 are necessary for the story, besides I guess Mission 18. But these 3 levels in Devil May Cry 3 feel more or less like padding to me. The last few levels do make up for it though, and 3's final boss makes up for the lackluster boss fight in Mission 19. I will bring up story stuff, but I don't want to spoil too much. I haven't really talked about story details in this video, although I have made fun of the stories for being simple and very effective, even having great moments of character writing. I just don't want to talk about it cause you guys should play them and experience them for yourself. Speaking of which one should you play? On my first playthrough, I went in release order of the series, but you don't have to. Besides 2 or the reboot, I think you can jump into any of these games and go anywhere. I don't recommend 5 if you really care about the story, cause a lot of the story calls back to Devil May Cry 1 and 3. So those sections just won't hit as hard for you, but hey, you're your own person. Play these games, whichever one you want. Like I said, don't play 2 or the reboot. Please God save yourself. Well, enough yapping. I'm gonna get off here, everyone. I'm going to bed. Good night. The story of this game is that this church of people who praise. The story of this game is that fuck you.